Hello folks, this is Tom from anti-proton.com, and today I wish to talk to you about a subject which is dear to my heart and grave. It's actually not nuclear physics or computer science. It's kind of a segue, if you like, a deviation from my usual. Today's topic will be video games, and specifically free-to-pay video games, versus non-free-to-pay and some other interesting things, and well, my ranting about the degradation of video gaming culture. Remember, folks, don't forget Mario, the original Mario. Basically put, in the most recent time period, you'll notice that video games, specifically in this case, I guess I should probably mention that I'm mostly talking about massively multiplayer online role-playing games, or MMORPGs, typically referred to as MMOs. They've been switching away from the original mentality of being pay set amount of money and then pay in monthly increments to here's the game for free. It's totally free. And if you want to have anything that doesn't completely suck, you need to buy it in the cash shop. Cash shop is a thing in game where you can buy in-game currency, which with real world money, or you can take the in-game currency and buy things in the game that you like, or you can just buy the things in the game you like, again with real world currency. Either one of those counts. And that would be basically a cash shop. So all the major games have cash shops now, but there was a time when you would pay a subscription price. Now, I don't believe that the act of making a game free to play with a cash shop, or not free to play, but with a subscription in a cash shop, or a hybrid, or pay once, play forever sort of thing, I don't think any of those is necessarily just innately bad. The problem is I've noticed a trend with companies of producing crappier and crappier software with the goal of making as much profit as possible in mind. Now, keep in mind, the goal of all companies, which, well, should be all companies. I'm sure there's got to be one or two of them out there that don't have this. There's probably go under. But the goal of all companies typically is to make money. You don't do it for charity work. I have an itch on my nose. You don't do it for charity work. But at the same time, people used to care a little bit more about quality. Oh my God, I'm becoming grandpa. I'm going to sit on my porch, rocking back and forth. I remember when programs were written with quality back in them there days, you youngins nowadays. Oh God, I'm becoming a grandpa. Okay, because I'm already starting to reminisce that, like, it was better before. Although, technically speaking, just because I think it might be better before does not mean it was not better before, which might mean that grandpa was correct the whole time. But regardless, games used to be better quality. Now they're rushed out as fast as they can. You'll notice a decrease in the number of classes. You'll notice a standardization of classes and racial tendencies and so on in the game. For example, it used to be that this character type could be more powerful than this character type. But now they equalize them. It's called nerfing. And the reason they do this is because people are looking for a dumber, cheaper, easier game. And if you don't believe that's the case, here's a Forgotten Realms 3.5 edition D&D book. You think that's bad, you should see 4th edition. If I look at a 4th edition book, I am immediately compelled to vomit. It's terrible. Go see a doctor. Whereas I play this. 1st edition. Do you know why I play 1st edition? Because this one's actually complicated and interesting and fun and not equal. It's all not equal. This one, it's all been nice and made surgically clean. Everything's all equaled out and everything. It's made so you don't have to really think too much. You can just kind of like do whatever. And 4th edition's the worst of all. This is Dungeons and Dragons, of course. But this is carried over into video games as well. A good example would be Guild Wars that came out, Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 1 was not actually an MMO. It was close to an MMO, but it was not actually an MMO. But Guild Wars 2 is an MMO. And Guild Wars 2 is actually a pretty decent game. You pay one time, and then you just play forever and ever and ever and ever. And they have a cash shop. But because they get that surge of money from buying initially, they were able to spend a little bit more time and money on making a better product. And they also started with the idea that they were going to make the best of the best of the best. And you can argue as to whether they actually did that or not. But they spent time, and they spent time on making a quality product. They used pride. Pride's not really an evil thing. Pride's actually a good thing. Pride means your stuff doesn't suck. So anyhow, another good example would be Neverwinter Nights. The current version of it, the MMO that they're making right this moment. My wife was in the closed beta for it, which was not really easy to get into. Let me tell you about that. She got into the closed beta. And in the closed beta, she took a good look at it. They have nerfed the hell out of it. Why have they nerfed the hell out of it? Because people don't want to think anymore. They want it to be as simple as they can. And the problem is when you do this sort of populism, it's not actually populism. Okay, so before any people with sociology degrees go out there and, like, you know, scream and yell at me, it's not actually populism. Yeah, fine. It's not populism. It's not socialism or any of those words. But it's sort of a little bit like that. When they do these sorts of things where they reduce the cost so that everybody can play for free and they kick it out as quickly as they can, they reduce the complexity. They reduce the amazement, the neatness of the game, that which made it cool in the first place. They dumb it down to the lowest common denominator. And it's really terrible. And the person who really ends up suffering in the end is the person who actually enjoys gaming. I mean, people don't realize this because they're all out there for the farm bills and stuff. But when they dumb it down too far, it actually hurts all of the industry in the end. And I would like to blame Grinder Games. Thank you, Korea. Nothing against Koreans, by the way, too. Oh, God. I love, you know, Korean food and everything. Nothing against Koreans. They have the best internet connection in the entire world. But you guys made the Grinder video games, and that's what spurred a lot of this all into starting. Also, thanks a lot, Facebook. Yeah, I hate Facebook. You will never find me on Facebook. I had a Facebook account back in the days when Facebook was actually just for college students. Yeah. Okay, I still have a Facebook account someplace. Nothing is on it. I exist with me not using it, just to show you that I have it and do not use it. No, it's kind of a statement, because I hate Facebook. And Facebook and little crappy Facebook games also contributed heavily to this concept. The idea of being free, games that are free. I don't think games should be free. I think you should pay money for games, because you know how much work goes into making a video game? You know how much code goes into making a video game? Trust me, I've written a video game before, a little tiny video game. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say I wrote like a World of Warcraft, but I made little video games and stuff over the last like 20-something years that I've been programming. Okay? But anyhow, when they spend more time with the video games, you get a better product. You get this versus this. And I like this better than this. And if you play D&D, you know why. Also, they give out better figurines when you spend more money on games. Like this little figurine right here. She's a succubus, so as you can tell, I have to put my finger over for censorship purposes. But anyhow, yeah, I have a collection of figurines. I'm a nerd that way. But anyhow, actually, my wife has one of these as well. So that's our opinion of things. Video games could be made a little bit better if we actually spent money on them, and if we spent more time working on them, and if people were charged money for them as opposed to everything being free all the time. Probably the best model would be buy the video game once, cash shop afterwards, or free game with cash shop and subscription upgrades, such as Conan. Age of Conan does that. It's kind of a hybrid system. These are probably the best models for making money, because when they toss these games out as fast as they can, you get crap, and it's terrible, and it poisons the system. And what's worse is they'll take a good idea, something you really like, and they'll build that out of it. Like they did that with Star Trek Online. Good, Star Trek Online started out horribly because they tried all of that. Thank goodness Star Trek Online got better. It got better over time. They figured it out. Thank goodness for them. But most of them don't realize in time. So, this has been my nearly 10-minute rant about video gaming. You will probably not see too many rants like this from me, because I don't usually get into these sorts of things. If you have opinions on this, please post them, and I will get back to them. Get back to you on them. Also, you can ask my wife if you like. She is like the goddess of video games. Like if you pray to an altar of her, who knows? Maybe you'll do better in video games. She actually is. She's been in like every closed beta you could ever imagine. It's quite actually impressive. So, regardless, this has been Tom from anti-proton.com, and bye-bye.